Okay, so following on from the NATO summit and the agreement by NATO to increase its budget spending, defence spending, I should say, over to Tom Piotrowski at CommSec for a look at the markets, but it might be an interesting day if you're holding defence assets, Tom.
Pete, I think there's something of a secular theme in place at the moment when it comes to the spending of governments around the world and how that's influenced the share prices of organisations that are represented in that sphere. This is not by any means new, but there's definitely been a fillip for European defence stocks in the last 24 hours. So having said that, European markets were generally weaker last night. You had the German DAX and the Stock 600 index, for example, down by around 0.75%. You've seen a bit of a rebound in previous sessions on the back of the ceasefire being maintained in the Middle East. It's a question of how that pans out over the course of coming days. Bearing in mind, just around the corner, Pete, in the early part of July, we've got the expiration of the temporary tariff situation in the US as well. So that's another important risk hurdle to get around. But broadly, you've got markets quite constructive at the moment. US indices were flat to slightly lower. The Dow Jones was down by about 1/3%. The Nasdaq up by 1/3%, and the S&P 500 was flat. So today, in local terms, the futures are pointing to a decline of around 0.4%. We saw those softer inflation figures yesterday. That has consolidated the view that we'll see a 0.25% rate cut in July in the market's eyes. So just above 80% at the moment is the pricing. So the Aussie dollar, normally under those circumstances, you would expect to be a little bit softer. But because the US dollar is on the cusp of a 3-year low, we've got the local currency trading just above 65 US cents. A little bit of a rebound for commodity prices last night, which should help at the margins. But the fact that we don't have a big tech sector, Pete, is what's costing us at the moment.
Yeah, okay.